So have you ever stopped to think about how we even began to study the human mind? I mean, how did we go from just guessing about it to treating it like a real science? Well, today we're going to pinpoint the exact moment that all changed, and it's all thanks to one man with a truly revolutionary idea.
It's a huge question, right? How does the mind really work? It's probably the most complex puzzle in the entire universe. We all have one, but figuring out where our thoughts and feelings come from, well, that's something people have been wondering about for centuries.
For most of human history, trying to understand the mind was left to philosophers. And look, they had some brilliant ideas, but that's all they were, ideas. There was no way to actually test them, no hard evidence to sort out what was right and what was wrong. It was all one big guessing game.
So a massive shift had to happen. We needed to move from guesswork to actual evidence, from just philosophical debates to real science, from having interesting ideas to collecting cold, hard data. This leap, well, it was about to change everything for psychology. And then, one guy came along and challenged the whole way of thinking. He basically said, hey, what if we stop just talking about the mind and start studying it for real, with the same kind of careful experiments we use in other sciences?
That man was Wilhelm Wundt. And you know, he earned the title the father of psychology for a very simple but profound reason. He was the one who actually took that revolutionary idea and made it happen.
Okay, so you got to remember this year, 1879. This is the big one. It's the year the study of the mind officially stepped into the modern age of science. So what was it that happened in 1879 that was so important?
In Leipzig, Germany, Wundt opened the world's very first laboratory dedicated only to psychological research. Now, that might not sound crazy to us today, but back then it was a radical idea, a place designed for controlled experiments and precise measurements of the mind.
This lab was basically a bridge between two completely different worlds. It took the study of the mind out of the realm of abstract ideas and planted it firmly in the world of science. The foundation for a whole new field of study was officially laid.
And just like that, psychology finally had credibility. It could be seen as a legitimate scientific field, right up there with physics or chemistry. For the very first time, people realized the mind was something you could study objectively.
All right, so he builds this game-changing lab. But what were they actually doing in there? What were the first mysteries of the mind that they tried to tackle scientifically? Wundt and his students started with the basics, the absolute building blocks of our consciousness. They studied things like attention, how we process sensations and feelings, and even how fast a simple thought happens. They were trying to break down our inner world into its most basic parts.
And their main method was a process called introspection. Now, this just meant they trained people to carefully and objectively report on their own internal experiences. The whole key was to be super rigorous about it, observe under controlled conditions, and write down everything with incredible precision.
This quote from Wundt really says it all, doesn't it? If you want to understand the mind, study it carefully. That was his entire philosophy. It's a call to action that inspired a whole new science, this idea that we should investigate the mind with the same care we give any other subject.
So why does a lab in Germany, from over 100 years ago, still matter to us today? The short answer is that its legacy is absolutely massive, and it's still shaping how we understand ourselves.
You can draw a straight line from Wundt's little lab to every single psychology class being taught today. He literally created the academic field of psychology. The research that started in his lab is the foundation of all the textbooks we use now.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. Wundt's simple insistence on being scientific opened the door to everything we now know about memory, learning, emotion, mental health, you name it. His work set the stage for more than a century of discovery.
Wundt gave us the tools to start answering the biggest questions about the mind, and that work is still going on. So, as we look to the future, it makes you wonder, right? Using the scientific approach he pioneered, what's the next great mystery of the mind we need to solve?